Great day to be alive, gentlemen. Great day to be alive. So, what we're going to do is we are going to continue on with Set for Life. Um, we're on page 70. We're on page 70. I got some food cooking, but we're going to start this thing rolling. So, what to do with money as you save it. Chapters 1 and 2 have helped you understand the theory behind frugality and develop a practical plan to live on less than half your take home pay, all in pursuit of building your first 25K. After reading those two chapters, you should understand what to do to save thousands of dollars a month on a middle class income. Now it's time to deploy those savings to develop your first year financial runway. Your goal to stockpile a reserve capable of funding your frugal lifestyle for around a full year. Unlike many Americans who struggle to make ends meet, you now face a new problem, a good one. You must decide how to deploy your rapidly expanding savings so that they extend your financial runway as much as possible. There are three initial steps that should be completed for the seeker of early financial freedom to build up that 1 year stockpile. These three steps are in order to build up an emergency fund of 1K to 2K to, to pay off all bad debts and build strong credit, and then three, to build up 1 year financial runway in the form of cash or equivalent. By completing these three steps, you'll set yourself up for the next phase of wealth generation discussed in part 3 or 2. You'll have cash and credit to buy a home with ease, and you'll have the financial runway to pursue opportunities with little risk of financial ruin. Central to the discussion in this chapter will be the concept of debt, both good and bad, and credit. You must pay off our bad debt. We must pay off our bad debt immediately and treat them as a financial crisis. Good debts can still delay financial freedom, but they may not need to be paid off early if money can be put to higher and better use in the meantime. While paying off bad debts and managing other debts, you'll want to focus on improving your credit score as much as possible and increasing your access to credit. Bad debt versus good debt. Bad debts include debts that are financed at high 10% or more interest rates, incur late fees, or impact your credit score. These types of debts are actively draining your wallet and preventing you from reaping the advantages of a strong credit score. These debts are an emergency, and you should not focus on building wealth beyond a small emergency reserve prior to eliminating bad debts from your life. Save up just enough cash, perhaps 1 to 2K, to make sure bad luck won't force you to take on any additional bad debt, and then begin paying down your bad debts as aggressively as you can. Some examples of bad debts include credit card debt, fines and parking tickets often incur late fees, any delinquent or high interest consumer debts, payday loans. These debts are killing your financial position and damaging your credit. It's likely that if you have these kinds of debts and haven't taken action to begin paying them off promptly, you'll have collection agencies after you. This is where finances begin to spiral out of control for many people as their debt coverage and the fees accompanying their debt consume their disposable income, creating new and larger amounts of debt. If you have bad debt, don't buy luxuries. Don't go out for dinner. Instead, pay off those debts as quickly as possible. It's foolish and dangerous to pursue investments. Consider buying property or otherwise make large financial decisions with bad debts looming over your head. There are several schools of thought for how to pay down bad debt. Two excellent ones are as follow. Method 1: the debt snowball, championed by personal finance and anti debt guru Dave Ramsey. This concept involves paying off the smallest debt first, then moving to the next smallest one, and proceeding so on and so forth. The advantage to this method is it offers the debtor the chance to score some easy wins with smaller debts to get them in the mindset and habit of paying down their debt completely. The disadvantage is it's not technically the most efficient way to pay down debt. Method 2: pay the highest interest rate debt first. This is a more efficient method than the debt snowball approach because it involves paying down the most expensive debt first, resulting in a more efficient deployment of savings. The downside is that those with large high interest debt may find themselves paying their debt for months or years before eliminating any single debt from their record. Assuming an individual has the following debts: a $5,000 debt at 10% interest, a $1,000 debt at 8% interest, or a $500 debt at 6%. Under the under the debt snowball approach, the $500 debt would be tackled first, then the 1K, and then the 5. The individual would have the satisfaction of eliminating two of the three debts rapidly, and then use that confidence to tackle the third. On the other hand, paying the $5,000 debt first might result in less total interest paid and would likely allow the debtor to pay down their total debt a little faster. Two quick notes on paying down debt. Note 1: try negotiating. Hospital debt, credit card debt, or other similar high interest debt can often be negotiated. This is especially true of delinquent debt that's several years old. It's amazing to watch folks with five-figure hospital debt negotiate their way down to just a few thousand or even a few $100s with a single phone call. If you decide to negotiate your debt down, here are some tips for when you call your creditor. Understand that many delinquent debts are never paid, so the collector wins when you agree to pay even a fraction of the total amount owed. Keep in mind that a long call might be necessary, but a few hours are worth it if you can negotiate the bill down by hundreds or thousands of dollars. Be polite, but make it clear you're in it for as long as it takes to bring down your debt amount. Your creditor has every right to refuse to reduce what you owe, so don't count on getting it lowered. Self-educate. If you have many years of old debt habits, or if you have many years of old bad debt, more than 3 to 4 years, you'll probably want to do some more research and talk to some professionals about tackling these debts the best way. This is a situation where intelligent self-study can reap large rewards. Did you know that making payments on a debt that's several years delinquent can actually have negative impacts on your financial position? In some cases, you may not need to pay off a debt that is more than 7 to 10 years in default. There's quite a bit of nuance. Good debt. In addition to bad debt, there are so-called good debts. These debts can include things like home mortgage, student loans, car loans, personal loans, any other debt that is current and financed at a low interest. These debts are commonly referred to as good debt, but that's a fallacy. These debts can accrue into the tens of thousands of dollars or even the hundreds of thousands. While they may not be actively damaging your credit score for bearing unreasonably high interest, they are to be avoided just like bad debts. If you aspire to early financial freedom, you will not accrue the debt needlessly. There are two ways to deal with with a lot of low interest good debt. Method one: first, suck it up and pay it off, with the exception of home mortgage debt. It's a huge advantage to have little to no debt when attempting to scale toward early financial freedom. Understand that the debt will slow you down and that it will take you years longer than the next person without debt to begin working aggressively toward your early financial freedom. Method two: the second option is to make the minimum payment and build up your year financial runway. Even with even with that debt, true, you'll have to make payments on the debt, which will increase your monthly expenses and thus increase the amount of money needed to cover 1 year of expenses. But by building up a reserve of at least 1 year's annual spending, you'll give yourself the same flexibility as the person without debt. While the best way to hasten along the path to early financial freedom is to avoid these debts entirely, many readers will be starting from a position in which they have already accumulated a large amount of personal debt. If that's the case, then note that it's unnecessary to pay down your debt entirely before progressing with the next steps in this book. As long as the debt is financed at a low interest rate, probably less than 5 to 10 or 5 to 7%, then you can make the minimum payments on the debt and begin accumulating cash outside of it. For example, there's little advantage to paying down a car loan with 2% interest yearly, but it might make a lot of sense to pay down or refinance a student loan charging 7 to 8% interest. In between, the choice will come down to personal preference. Credit. I have mentioned credit several times for a good reason. A person's credit score and access to credit can play a huge role in determining their exposure to financial opportunities and helping them build a longer financial runway. When it comes to credit, most people fall into two camps: those with acceptable credit and those with poor. To give themselves the strongest position from which to move forward, those aspiring to early financial freedom will want to achieve two credit related things in part one. First, they'll want to improve their credit score as much as possible. Second, they'll want to put themselves in a position with as much access to credit as possible. Improving and maintaining credit. Credit scores have a shockingly large impact on American life. With poor scores, those poor scores find themselves denied housing opportunity, car loans, credit cards, or even jobs. In a very real sense, this score affects where you live, how you get around, how you buy stuff, and what career opportunities are available to you. Those with good scores find those types of basic choices to be simple, while those with poor scores struggle daily. A credit score is a reflection of one's financial dignity. Specifically, it is a reflection of one's ability to handle debts. Late and missed payments hurt scores, while on-time payments and debt reduction can increase. Improving one's credit score is straightforward. The first step is to check your credit score by getting a free copy of your report from one of the three major credit bureaus. By accessing the information through a third-party website like Credit Karma, check all the accounts and look for any potential errors. They happen all the time and need to be resolved to improve your score. Look at the factors that make up your credit score, the relative weight, and how you score in each category. The second step is to get current on your debts and begin making your payments on time. Look at your debts and set up automatic payments for them. In some cases, that's something that I did actually because of this book. I used to always pay, and by the way, shout out to me. I am officially in the 700 mark. Shout out to me. And it took time, you know what I'm saying? I'm thankful. I'm in the mid, I think it's mid sevens to high sevens, and it fluctuates, but I'm in the sevens now versus before I used to be like I think in the fives, man, or six. I think it was like a low six, probably like high fives, low six. But I've been paying on time, and just recently I was like, damn, because do I have the option of automating this? Of all things that I automate, this is one that I definitely want to do, and I have. So because of this, I listened to Audible and I set it on my alarm to do that, and I did it. So if you don't automate your payments, do that right now. Take the time to either set it on your calendar and make sure that you do it, or just pause this video and do it right now. Uh, Set an automatic payment that's going to, at the minimum, even if it's the minimum, but at least it's going to help towards the not paying late portion of increasing your credit. Let me make sure that this food doesn't burn. In fact, I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to get my food. I'm going to eat. Keep growing, keep developing. And remember, this is nonstop, guys.